Welcome back to season two, my beautiful, beautiful people of Oklahoma and surrounding states. I am Will Joplin with my fabulous, beautiful friend, Colin O'Grady. And yeah, so with football season right around the corner, aka in like what, 4 days? 4 days.
Yeah, it's right here, man.
We
OU
figured
football season 4 days away.
we figured we'd make a return. We had some people asking, and surprisingly, more people like it than we originally thought. So that's awesome. Let's keep it
Yeah,
going. Let's
our
keep it going.
our dozens of fans we had like.
Oh yeah, we're about to have
we-
24. Then we're gonna have 36. What they gonna say? What they gonna say?
Yep. Well, Will, what you been up to, man?
Man, school started last week. Still working. Graduate this spring, hopefully. That's the plan, and then we'll go from there. What about you, brother? What you been up to?
Not a whole lot, man. Not a whole lot. Just living the life on the road, I guess, dude.
Man, it's always on the road. And
Trying my
how's the
best.
band going?
Good. We just got done playing in Amarillo for a crowd of about 15 people. But hey, it's like this podcast. Next time it's gonna be 30, then it's gonna be
Abs-
60.
Absolutely, bro. I'm telling you.
Maybe
Absolutely.
I'll put a plug in for the band on the pod every now and then.
Yeah,
Maybe
listen, we gotta be optimistic around here, bro.
that's right.
Be optimistic.
That's right. All right. So obviously, a lot of things to talk about. Big day coming up Friday. I've been waiting for it for a while now. I'm excited. And those of you that don't know, me and Will, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be at the game this Friday.
We are. We
Super
are.
excited about that. We might have to get some stuff. I haven't even logged into the Instagram in like months, dude. Or the TikTok. So we might have to get some stuff this Friday and post it. Maybe of you getting a little lit, maybe.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, so Colin is definitely taking one for the team. He's allowing me to come with him, which is a very gutsy choice, but we're gonna have a great time. And hopefully OU absolutely gets off to an amazing start. We don't want any iffy games early in the season.
Right, I agree. All right, so let's just dive right into it. And first thing I wanted to talk with you about was they just came out with the depth chart a couple days ago, and there were a couple things that stood out to me. I want to hear your thoughts on it first. And those of you that don't know this, I sent it to Will, and the first thing he says back to me, he sends me
Now,
this video, and he's like, "Am I just stupid or?" Should we not have more than three wide receivers? We got all these tight ends and all these other positions. We only have three receivers on the depth chart. And he
listen,
failed to look at the he failed to
listen.
look a little further down the list and see the slot
But
receivers.
why are we putting Jalil Farouk at the bottom left, bro? And it's hard. He should be up there with the rest of
Because
them. That's why I
Jalil
was
Farouk
just
sucks, bro.
I don't know. Well, in the college football game, which we never got to make an episode
I
about
know.
college football, he has been dropping a lot of passes in this video game, and it's really starting to piss me off.
What we
But
need to do, we need to like live stream a game sometime.
do you want to tell him real quick before I dive in about what happened that one time? We've only played one time so far in the new college football game, and go ahead and tell him what happened, Colin.
Oh, I felt bad for him. I let him win.
That's not what happened.
Like I can't beat you in your own house under your roof,
It
man.
was a very competitive game, and I ended up. It was a. I think it was a last play.
It was. It was the
It
last
came
play of
down
the
to the last
game.
play, and I ended up throwing a bomb on him. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyways, back
Your
to it.
roommate wasn't as lucky though. Shout out Lane.
Lane did one for the team, and he absolutely laid an egg that night. So absolutely, man. So after looking at the depth chart, I don't dive into it as deep as you. I really just take a glance at it. But one thing that really sticks out to me, I'm really curious to see how Dion Burks does this year. He is. I've heard a lot about him in the offseason. So I really hope he lives up to the expectations that he's given off. But the main thing, obviously, and I'm gonna be repeating myself on this, but I don't know who else is on our backups as far as quarterbacks go, but Jackson Arnold is going to be the absolute piece to this whole entire season. Like if he has a single off game, it's ride or die with him. And honestly, with him being so young, I just don't. I have faith in my boy, but it's just like I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of weight on his shoulders. I'm just gonna see how he handles that.
Yeah, there is a lot of unknowns with that, especially with a young guy going into the SEC. And I think he's I think he's got it. I don't think Dylan Gabriel would have transferred if he didn't think that Jackson Arnold's got it.
Understood.
But
That
then
is
if you
true.
remember back to that Arizona game, he threw for like 300 over 300 yards. Looked really good in some moments, but then had like the 5 interceptions or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So that makes you a little nervous, but I don't think he's going to turn the ball over a whole lot, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I like what you said about Deion Burks, and I think he went for like 170 in the spring game.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah.
dude's a beast. He's an absolute burner. That's one guy that I'm really excited about. I knew he was probably going to be, for sure wide receiver one type of guy. So it didn't. They've got him in the slot, so it's a little different. But uh, he didn't stick out to me on the depth chart as much. But I will talk about him a little bit later.
Mhm.
Uh, in the pod. But yeah, no, I like that. One thing I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, and I listened to some other podcasts like Gay Biker and Teddy Lehman have one, and they actually get to go to the practices and like cover that and things like that. So they've been talking about Jaden Jackson, the defensive tackle that came in from IMG. So he came in with David Stone, and David Stone was like highly touted 5-star guy, and Jaden Jackson was his teammate at IMG. And Jaden Jackson's starting at defensive tackle on Friday.
I see
And,
that.
and
That is
so I think the last time we had a freshman starting at defensive tackle was like Tommy Harris, like back in like 2003 or something. And he was an absolute beast.
well, I'm
So
looking at his 6'2", 312. That's a big boy. That's a big
yeah, he's a low dude. And that's the SEC football though, right? Like
absolutely.
big guys on the line. That's what we haven't had in the past. I think I heard something the other day. I want to say my dad told me that was like when Lincoln Riley was the head coach that they were real big into that speed D type stuff, and it was like the heaviest guy on that defensive line would be the lightest guy now.
Yeah,
So
no.
they've came in and completely changed that.
I'm really looking forward to seeing us actually hit people again. Like I want to see people get hurt. So
I agree.
I think we're doing a good job with that. But yeah, I'm also looking forward to David Stone as well. I mean, he's obviously. Did you see Lane's girlfriend just walked in there? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is that Lane's
There's Lane
girlfriend?
right
There
here
he is.
on the pod.
Oh
Absolutely.
man, I
So
won't interrupt for long. It's good to see you,
hey,
man.
no, we were
What up,
talking about
Lane?
how I had beat Colin that one night. He came here and then he was talking about how you weren't so lucky that night. But
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I want a rematch, so I'm
All right,
feeling
we can
good.
get that rematch. Hey, how's your knee holding up, bro? I heard
Man,
you
it's doing quite a bit better. It really is.
good.
Today's like my first full, not full, but today was my first contact practice, like back, and it really didn't bother me at all. I mean, it sucked that I missed all fall camp, but I really don't feel like I missed very much so
Yeah,
far, where I'm
that's good
at.
to hear, bro.
yeah, for
For
those who
those,
don't know, this
yeah.
is Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson. He plays football here at East Central University
Yep,
in the
go
flesh.
Tigers.
So go Tigers.
I'll let you get to it. It's good seeing you, man.
All
Have a
See
good
right.
you,
one.
Lane. Good to see you, bro.
But no, back to it. I mean, David Stone. He's also a very big boy, and just all the hype on Twitter and stuff. I'm really curious to see what he lives up to.
Right, me too. Yeah, I think from everything I've heard, he's probably got the more potential out of the two between him and Jaden Jackson. But from everything I've heard, it sounds like Jaden Jackson was just ready to go from the jump.
Hmm.
But one other thing that stood out to me was I figured Nick Anderson was gonna kind of be a dude, which I still think he will be a dude this year. But if you look at the wide receiver list, they've got Brennan Thompson or Nick Anderson starting. Uh, and I think Brandon Thompson, he probably didn't have much more than 10 targets all last year. And
I'm
I
gonna be
know,
completely honest with you. I saw that earlier, and I'm glad you touched on it because like I have no idea who that is. I have
right.
no
So
idea.
he's that guy that transferred from Texas. Uh, I don't know if he got banged up or not last year or what the deal was, but super fast. Like absolute burner. I don't know if you remember, but he caught like a 60-yard touchdown pass from Jackson Arnold in the Alamo Bowl against
Okay,
Arizona.
okay.
Um, but he can absolutely fly. You'll have to look up some stuff on him when we're done here. but seeing him over Nick Anderson kind of surprised me. So I guess that just shows you how deep our wide receiver room and how many weapons Jackson Arnold's going to have this year, which is exciting.
It's definitely gonna be fun to watch. And then also, I mean, on a side note, if you play the video game, Gavin Sawchuk is insane on this video game. So if he lives up to even what he half of he is on this game, I think we're gonna be pretty set both, in the passing game and in the running game. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I feel like that's one area last year where I feel like we never really had that one solid back that kind of carried the load. I mean, Gavin Sawchuk towards the end had a few of those 100-yard games in a row, but for a while it was kind of like who's going to be the guy.
oh,
And
absolutely.
it's hard when you can't get a running game going, especially in the SEC. It's going to be hard if they can't. So, will anything stick out to you on the defensive side of the ball besides Jaden Jackson?
Well, I mean,
Your boy Danny Stutzman.
yeah, let's just
He's
get that out the
he's gonna
way.
he's gonna he's gonna be a Buckus winner this year, Will.
Listen, let's one can hope. I hope I hope he plays good, so we play good. But on a side note, still don't like the guy. Maybe as we progress, I
Maybe you
can.
should retell the story for people who've never heard it.
Well, yeah. So for all of our 15 listeners who haven't heard it yet, so Danny Stutzman met him didn't meet him, saw him at at a bar one night after a game, and I thought it'd be cool to come up and talk to him, and he told me no, and he wouldn't let me shake his hand, and basically turned away. Which I get it. I get it. I mean, dude's getting paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, to play football at OU. So I wouldn't want to talk to me either. But I was like, you know what? That dude is a dick. So that's where we are. Danny Stussman, hope you have a good year, brother. But in my opinion, I'm looking forward to Billy Bowman and Peyton Bowen. I mean, I cannot wait to see what those two do in the backfield. So that's going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. That safety room is super deep too. And Billy Bowman, he was like I think he was 73rd, like top 100
Mm-hmm.
players in the country. So another cool thing I'm glad you mentioned both those guys. I think it's Peyton Bowen was returning punts, and I'm sure it says here, yeah. So kick returner is Billy Bowman, and our punt returner is Peyton Bowen. So not only are they going to be beasts in the secondary, but they're also going to be make a huge impact on special teams.
Oh yeah, and
So
let's go ahead and shout out Tyler Keltner as well. I mean, if he or Zach Schmidt or Schmidt, of course, but whoever gets that one spot, please don't suck because we cannot have another Gabe Burkich because I cannot stand that dude. And he was good for a little bit, but he was iffy. He was iffy. You can't have an iffy kicker because
no,
that leads to stressful games, and stressful games just freaks everybody out. Nobody likes that.
yeah.
So
Well,
we need.
Zach Schmidt got pretty iffy there towards the end
That's what I'm saying,
last
bro.
year. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm a hope Keltner is our guy.
yeah. It's always nice when you don't really have to worry about the kicking game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited for Friday. But so I think we've talked enough about the depth chart. Let's go ahead and talk about this Friday. So I think OU's like a 42-point favorite. Um, I think they'll probably cover. They'll win by 42 because everything I've heard, Temple is no good, and I think OU's going to be pretty good this year, despite what a lot of other people are saying. I mean, they were a 10-win team last year. They bring a lot of guys back. Year 3 in BV system, I think they'll be pretty good. So give me your prediction on the game, and tell me who you think. Give me a few impact players who you think is going to have a big game on
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll be positive for once with us because I know typically we like to keep these games close for some reason. But I'll go ahead and I'll say we'll go 42-7. I think our defense has a stellar game. Think Billy Bowman has a pick for sure. Um, and then another big defensive guy. I hope it's that freshman lineman you're talking about. I hope he has a tremendous game on defense. But as far as offense goes, I think Jackson Arnold throws for at least 4 touchdowns, perhaps maybe 3. I'll give him 3. I'll give him 3. Those for 3 touchdowns. I hope Sawchuk has a good game, and then out of all of our receivers, because if Jackson Arnold's going to have a stellar game, then our receivers have to do well as well. I'll go ahead and go just because you shit on him earlier. I'll go Jalil Farouk. If he gets in the game enough, I think he'll have a big game, and it's going to set him off for the season.
Look, I hope it does. I just can't forgive him for what happened in the Alamo Bowl last year. So if you had to pick an MVP for this Friday, you're going with Farouk.
I'm going with Jackson Arnold. But
Okay, Jackson Arnold.
Yeah,
All right.
100%.
All right. And then probably Billy Bowman on the defensive end because you said he's going to have a pick.
Mm-hmm. And I guess we could get iffy and say, let's say Peyton Bowen has a returns a punt, or almost returns a punt.
That would be
Throw that
sick.
out there.
That place will pop off if he does that.
Oh, 100%.
Also, what do you think the crowd's going to be like this Friday? Night
Man,
game?
I don't know. That's like, we have got to understand that as good as we are, our fans, but like we're not. At least last year we haven't been SEC level in a long time.
Right.
So I think we're gonna be incredible from the start. I'm gonna see if we can maintain that throughout the whole game, because we're definitely gonna need it once the conference play starts.
Right. And I think after everyone hearing all offseason how little energy we bring and how we're not ready for the SEC atmosphere, which I think there's definitely some truth to that because you got people sitting down throughout the whole game.
This is what me and because my two uncles Kevin and Biggin they're avid Oklahoma fans. There are too many old rich people that go to the games.
Yeah, they've been season ticket holders for like 50 years.
Yes, like you need, like, for instance, like I'm gonna be insanely loud, but I'm also gonna have a few drinks in me. Like, but that's the Oklahoman thing to do, right?
Right.
I mean, for an instance, it's just go have fun, and you have nothing else to do. We're in Oklahoma. You're at an insanely good football program that you're blessed that is in your state. I mean, why are you not absolutely losing your mind?
Well, and another thing too is the tailgating has been so bad for so long, and I think now they're starting to bring things back. I think some people they'll come into the game a little lathered up. I think maybe a little liquored up, and
that's the plan. I mean, I think they have to be. I mean, nobody in their right mind can be like, just think about Ole Miss, LSU. You tell me those people are doing that sober? There's no way. Come on.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
But it makes a difference whenever you have a tough place to play like that. Like people, when you talk about going to Death Valley, people are just like they don't want to do it. They don't want to play LSU at LSU. Yeah. So that needs to be a place where Norman turns back in, because when Sam Bradford was here and like kind of in that Stoops era, it was a pretty tough place to play. But I think we've kind of lost that. But no, I think it'll be good. I can't tell you the last time we got a season opener night game. It's been like 11 a.m. or 2:30 like the past few years.
No
so
joke. That is no
that'll
joke.
be really fun.
I want to clarify too. I'm not saying go drink. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not making drinking look like it's something that is fun. It's very stupid. You got to be very responsible if you're going to do it. But at the same time, go have a good time, and for the love of God, don't sit down and be quiet, because we're
it's like, if you don't want to get into it, why would you not just watch from home?
Absolutely.
Where you're not spending all the money on.
For sure. And the same people that probably are sitting down not doing anything probably get irritated by the people going insane. Like, if you've got a problem with people going insane at a football game, like you said, because fans play into it, sit at home.
Right.
Sit at home. Or go to a bar. One of the two. Nobody cares. Just get out of there.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it'll be good though. I think that OU fans probably feel a little challenged and a little called out, which they should be. So
absolutely they should.
But my prediction, I'll say 52-3. I don't think Temple gets in the end zone.
Wow. Okay.
And my MVP, I'm glad you mentioned him on the depth chart, is going to be Deion Burks, just because he did go for 175 in the spring game. I think Jackson Arnold has absolute magic in that arm, dude, and I think Deion Burks is a burner. And I don't think that Temple secondary is going to be able to hang with him. So I got him going for a pretty big game, getting my MVP. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Kip Lewis is one guy we haven't talked about, but he kind of emerged over Jaren Kanak last year as a really good linebacker. And I think Danny Stutzman is going to get a lot of attention. and Kip Lewis is just a tackling machine. So give me him on the defensive side of the ball.
So if Kip Lewis is in, does that mean Kanik? Oh, he is. He's the
Yeah,
third.
Cannon got buried in the depth chart, dude.
Well, I mean, he did end up. He's only a junior, so we'll see how the season goes.
Yeah,
He
we'll
just
see.
turned
Which
18.
the thing about him, he's so athletic and he's fast and he's strong and he's pretty violent, but that dude looks lost most of the time he's out there.
Yeah, he does. He
But
does.
all right, so I like those game predictions. You got JFA and Billy Bowman. I got Deion Burks and Kip Lewis. So let's talk about the season. How do you think the season goes? And to add on to that, what do you think makes this a successful year for OU? What has to
Okay,
happen for you to consider this a successful year?
so for us to have a successful year, I'm just gonna start off with that just to go because I'm pulling up the schedule because I have a record here, but I kind of just want to list them off real quick.
Our
I think
schedule's
for us
tough.
to 100% it is tough, and so just for instance, I have us going 8-4 this year. I'm a realist. So I have us. Let's see, I have us beating Temple, beating Houston, beating Tulane, beating Tennessee, and then beating Auburn. So I think we're starting off 5-0. Okay, but then I think we're gonna lose to Texas because I think that Texas is still, especially right now, um, that that they're pretty good. They're really good. I was beating South Carolina, losing to Ole Miss, beating Maine, beating Missouri, losing to Alabama, and then losing to LSU, finishing the season at 8-4. So, I hope that they prove me wrong. I hope we at least get to 10 wins this year. But I think even if we can get to 10 wins, we go 10-2 on the year. I think that gives us a successful year for sure. Gives us promising future with Brent Venables. And we can go from there. But you have to think on the flip side, if we do, let's say we win 6 games. I mean, Lord forbid. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, I just I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, you give Brent time because I mean this is our first year, but he I don't know. It's gonna be really tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and you talk about winning 6 or 7 games, and that's absolutely possible with the schedule. Uh, but I would say, so I agree. I think the Ole Miss game is going to be really tough. Um, everyone's been talking about Ole Miss being a team to beat, and we got to go to Ole Miss and play there.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn's a weird one for me, just because, like we talked about earlier, like their environment is so tough. But I want to say we doubled down on Texas again this year, and
You
I'm
think
saying that
so?
because that's going to be my first ever OU Texas game to be at, so they got to
That'll
win.
be
They
awesome.
got to win that one. The Tennessee game makes me a little nervous because um they've got James Pierce Jr., who's the number one player in the country at edge, and our offensive line is probably our weakest
Dude, our
position group.
our fan base will have to have a major impact in that game.
Yeah, because I mean, if they I'm sure they're gonna scheme stuff up to try and stay away from that guy, but he could turn into an absolute game wrecker.
Oh yeah.
Um, so the Tennessee game scares me. You said 8-4. I say I'll see us going 9-3. I think we drop Ole Miss, and I agree LSU is probably going to be tough. And then either Bama or Tennessee, we win one and lose the other. I think. But I see us 9-3, and here's what I would say for a successful year. They expanded the playoff to 12 teams. And this might be shooting too high, but we brought a lot of guys back. We did really well in the portal. This is year 3 under Brent Venables. I say if we don't make the playoff, it's not a successful year because with it expanding to 12 teams, with all of that going for us and all the weapons we have, if we're not one of the best, if we're not one of the top 12 teams in the country, by the end of the year when it's all said and done, I say it's not a successful year for us, even with how hard our schedule is.
I may just be overlooking the SEC. I may be giving them too much credit. I just feel like I think that is very possible to happen. I think that'd be awesome because surely, I mean, like you said, I mean, we have so much talent that we could, but it's just like our first year in the SEC. I just don't. It's either gonna go really good or it's gonna go so bad. I
Yeah.
don't think there is any in between.
And I do think the SEC probably is like the premier league for football. But the SEC I think is pretty top heavy. And I don't think the SEC is just some like just impossible task to overcome as far
Mhm.
as having a successful season. But I say all that to say our schedule does us absolutely zero favors. And the way it's backloaded at the end, having to go, to LSU, to Ole Miss, like that's tough. And so I'd say it's more of our schedule than us being in the SEC, if that even makes any sense at all. But I think, I don't know. I think this year will be really interesting.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, like if we end up winning those last few games of our season, like, can you imagine our momentum though going into the playoff?
Right. Yeah.
So
And no, I don't know, man. I think we're gonna catch some people by surprise. I don't see us winning less than 8 games. I'd like to see us win about 9 or 10 games. And I think that with how tough our schedule is, and depending the ones that we drop, like as long as we don't drop, I don't even know, to Maine, that's not gonna happen,
okay,
obviously. Or like as long as we don't lose to Tulane or something, you know,
Eh,
a
I
loss, a
got you.
loss, a loss at LSU is not that bad of a loss. A loss, at Ole
They're gonna look a lot
Miss.
better than like at Manhattan and Kansas State. And
Right. So
yeah, so
I think 9 wins probably puts us in the playoff. 10 for sure puts us in the playoffs. So with it being 12 teams. So
okay.
that's what I say. I say if
Well,
we
let
don't make
me.
the playoffs, it's not a successful year.
Okay, I got you. Though that's fair. I mean, I respect that. I absolutely respect that. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna shoot a little bit lower. I I think we could. I think it'd be really awesome if we do. Then I hope once we get there, we actually win a playoff game. But
You and me both.
especially, especially like did you see where, especially the first round, the higher seed or whatever it's at their home stadium? Like,
Can
can you
you
imagine?
can you imagine a home game in Norman?
Like, what if we got just instance, like for instance, what if we got like OSU though, since we don't get to play them this
Right.
year?
That's a
That would be
possibility. That's a
insane, bro.
possibility. Well, I'll tell you
Insane.
this. I went to game 1 of round 2, Thunder Mavs this year, and it was
Hmm.
hands down the most electric atmosphere I've ever
Oh
been
yeah.
to.
Hey, while we're on this though, let's go ahead. We're gonna start making more videos about basketball too, especially this season. So y'all
Yeah.
keep that in mind. We'll
Look, now that I'm back in town too, I got Bally Sports. You got to come over and watch some
oh,
games.
100%,
All
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. Hey, but I was gonna ask you real quick. I'm gonna go off script. So since we're talking about a successful year for the team, I'm real curious. How do you think Jackson Arnold does this season?
I think he does well. I'd like to see around 20, 24, 25 passing touchdowns. And then he's a good runner. So I don't know, 5, 6 rushing touchdowns.
Over
And
under.
I'd like to see him keep the interceptions 10 or less.
Okay, I
Like,
was about to say over. I was gonna give you the line at 10.
yeah. Which I know 30 and 10, I mean, those are pretty good numbers for a sophomore quarterback in the SEC, but I think this dude has it. And so if he could go, 24 and like 24 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions, I think that'd be a pretty good season for your first year as a starter.
Okay. No, and I think it'll be, depending too. I'm real curious to see how good our offensive line is as well. I think
Yeah,
that'll be
that worries me for sure. I'm not gonna lie
tough.
to you.
But well, all right. So did you watch that game on Saturday?
I did. I did. I was itching for college football. I was actually driving down to Amarillo so we could play a private show for 15 of my family members that were down there. But no, I watched it in the car on the way down there, and dude, it was everything you'd want from a college football
Oh,
game.
100%. Okay, such an amazing way to start off the season, bro. Like, even
Yep.
though it was still an I like how there were so many fans there, bro. Like Florida State fans too. Like,
Yeah.
how
So
many of
they
them
they
lived out?
can't even whine about it being neutral site.
Oh no, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, the main takeaway from that game, I mean, we can get into the stats if you want. I mean, I'm looking at them right here, but from what I saw is Georgia Tech's defense, especially the defensive line, like I didn't see Florida State hardly get anything going in the run game.
No.
and it, it
And
was it was insane.
well, they were just out physical the whole entire time. And there was one play in particular where they're running like a read option, and the what's his name? Uh, the quarter is like Hayes King, I
DJ,
think is a
are you talking about Georgia Tech's?
yeah, Hayes. I think his name's Hayes King. He played pretty well for Georgia Tech, but
Mhm.
they're running a like a read option, and he pulls, and they fumble the ball. And this is like late in the fourth quarter, and I don't know if it was the left guard or the center for Georgia Tech ends up jumping on it, and there's like four Florida State defenders around him, and it's like, how do they come up with that fumble with
Uh-huh.
all these? It's like, how does the center I can't remember if he's center or left guard, but how does an offensive lineman who's faced the other way turn around and beat all you for this fumble? Like that basically saved the game because it was tied at that point, I want to say.
I got you.
And
Because they
he
ended up kicking
dives
a
on
field
that
goal to
ball.
win, didn't they?
Yeah, and they ended up winning by 3.
I'm
So it's
pretty
just like,
sure that that is that. I mean that it just that they got out physical all game for sure. But like you said though, like they just wanted it more, I
yeah.
guess. But one thing cool that I saw is I'm pretty sure Georgia Tech's kicker. I think he was from Ireland,
Oh,
and
is he
so
really?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was the same guy that won them the game. But yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome too.
Yeah.
Especially, I hope
Oh
we. I
well.
don't know if I did. You like that? Did you watch the college game day and stuff? Did you like that?
Yeah, I was having to load stuff up. I got to watch a little bit of it. I I really like Pat McAfee. I don't know how I feel about him on college game day as much.
What about Nick Saban?
I like Nick Saban a lot. I used to be a Nick Saban hater, but his last like 3 or 4 years when he was coaching, I absolutely love Nick Saban. I love hearing him talk. Uh, Anytime a video pops up on him giving an interview or talking anything football, I always listen. It's like LeBron talking basketball.
That
Like
that
those
that's
dudes'
true.
IQ is through the roof. I think I mean, he has as many national championships as OU does. He's the
Mhm.
greatest to ever do it, and he's honestly pretty funny. I mean,
Yeah,
he's got
no,
some
I
personality too.
I like him. I Lee Corso wasn't there, which I don't know if that's a regular
Right,
thing or if that's just because it was out of the
right.
country. I hope I can see him again. He's getting old though, man. I
Yeah,
bet
he's
he's gonna
almost
end up
like
dropping
90
dead
years
on that
old.
show.
Yeah, he is old.
But
But no, it was good. And think about this too. I think the Florida State fans probably supported Ireland's entire community for the rest of the year because think about all the sad Florida State fans going to drink at all the
yeah,
pubs
those
after the
pubs
game.
were popping, bro. You know
Yeah,
they were.
but no, that's good for football, good for Ireland. Georgia Tech gave us a heck of a start to the season.
Dang
I was all
right they
for it,
did.
man. But
Absolutely.
yeah. So we just got a few minutes here because we're balling on a budget. We got 3 minutes left till we run out of time on this Zoom call. So give me a hot take for this season on a team that isn't OU.
Listen, Utah is gonna run the Big 12. Cam Rising. I don't know if I talked about him last year. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm a huge Cam Rising guy. Absolutely love that guy. And I know he's on his 6th year, so bro's pushing 30. My God. But I really like the guy. And I'm pretty sure they've got a really good tight end. I was trying to find his name earlier, I couldn't find it. But I think they're gonna run the Big 12. People have been talking about, OSU. Um, Ollie Gordon's really good if he can stay out of trouble, jackass. But I uh, I don't think that I don't think it's gonna matter. I think Utah's gonna end up taking control. And they're gonna make a push in the college football playoff for sure. So I think that's gonna may not be an insanely hot take. But I'm real curious to hear yours. I remember you gave me a little
Right.
hint earlier. So
Yeah. So you got the Utah Utes making a little run this year. Well,
absolutely.
if you remember last year, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, which they were stacked, so it's not like it was some crazy take, but I was on Washington's bandwagon from like week 1 or 2. And
That is
so
true. Yeah.
so this could be that type of thing. Uh maybe Utah makes a little run at it. But my the reason I got this idea is because me and my dad were talking about it at lunch today. But I so this quarterback class was super stacked with Drake May, Caleb Williams obviously is a beast. Um uh Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. So Quinn Ewers decided to stay another year. He's kind of a fringe, NFL guy. I think any other year he probably goes and gets drafted pretty high, but this year they're just so stacked that he decides to stay back. So I think my hot take is that I think there's going to be a little bit of quarterback controversy out there in Austin, Texas, with old Arch Manning and Quinn. If you see Quinn struggle for a little bit, and it might be a game and a quarter or something. It doesn't even have to be a full 2 games. They might be calling for old Arch Manning out
You
there.
think so?
I think maybe so.
Really?
Think
Well,
about it,
hey,
dude.
I mean,
He's got the name, he's got the hype, he's got the money, and you know Quinn. They probably thought it was gonna be a type of thing where where Arch sits a year, red shirts, and then comes in kind of like Jackson Arnold did.
yeah.
Except I don't think he expected to be sitting, year 2. But
Listen, I think, and I hope Steven Stenark or whatever that dude's name is, I hope he thinks like me because I don't. I think that you ride or die with Quinn Ewers. I think because obviously he proved himself last year. I mean, my God, they made it to what the semis,
yeah,
or they just made it to the first round. But I don't. I just don't. I'm not a big Arch Manning fan just because
yeah,
I don't. I think he's kind of like Bronny James. He got all of his hype obviously because of his last name, but if he does, that may be if you may be 2 for 2. You got it last year, early in the year, so you
maybe
may get this
so,
one.
maybe
Do you
so.
think if you think it happens, you think it's before OU Texas? You think it could it be during OU Texas?
Right, it'll be
That
right
would be
around.
crazy.
It'll be right around that time, I bet. So before we got cut off there, Will was in the middle of absolutely pooping on Arch Manning.
I'm
So
just not a fan of the guy. And I know maybe perhaps with my Danny Stutzman take and now with my Archer Manning take, y'all may think I'm just a very negative guy, but I promise you I'm not. I'm positive. But there's just certain things that I see. He's not one of them. I'm sorry. It's just not. I don't think it's going to be at Texas. I think he's going to leave. I think Quinn Ewers has another good year. I think he gets a little impatient, a little pissed off, and he leaves.
right,
So
and maybe that ends up being the quarterback controversy. When I first made this take, it was more of
that's
a
fair. That's
it
fair.
was more of a which I'll give it to you. When I think quarterback controversy, it's like the backup should be playing over, the starter. It's like a Caleb Williams over Spencer Rattler type situation. But
Yeah.
maybe it turns into a thing where, Arch's people start talking. There's lots of money involved, and he feels like he should be playing. And like you said, maybe he gets impatient, he leaves, he goes somewhere else. And I
I'd
just
like
don't
I'd like
see,
to see him at Old Miss.
dude. I would like to see. I don't think he's gonna be this great
Isn't
thing
that
that
where
everyone says he
isn't
is.
that
But
where his dad went?
yeah. Well, is his dad Cooper Manning or is
I
his
think so.
dad?
I think so.
I don't know that. Which I know Eli and Archie, or Eli's dad, went to Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure, but
Yeah. Sorry, I
um,
didn't mean to cut
but
you off.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say I'd rather see him leave the SEC, but maybe that is a I just don't see those two guys in that quarterback room ending without a little bit of drama, especially since it's UT.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always
Honestly,
something.
I hope
Always
it
something.
does. I hope
I
it
do
does,
too.
and I hope the whole program is in shambles.
I did too. I want to see the fan base crying. I want to see Arch unhappy, Quinn feeling the pressure. But I don't know. It'll be something to keep an eye on. So that's my hot
I,
take: is there will be quarterback controversy.
I was gonna just mention this. I saw this today, and it kind of made me giggle. So remember Mario Williams? He left when Caleb
Yeah,
left. You know where he's at now?
Tulane, right?
Tulane, bro. Bum.
Yeah,
Bum. That's what
yeah.
happens when you leave OU. That's what happens when you follow Lincoln Riley. You're gonna die
No,
on that hill. He's a piece of hot garbage.
I agree. Well,
But yeah, Tulane, congrats, brother.
well, to we always find a way to talk about Lincoln Riley, and I think it's always going to be that way. And honestly, I'm petty enough to say, well, here's the thing about that whole deal is we are far better off without Lincoln.
Oh,
Okay,
100%.
don't mistake this for me saying I want Lincoln back because I don't. Um, but if when you turn your back on OU football in the state of Oklahoma, it's like Kevin Durant. Like we're in a better place now, but he turned his back on us, so it's forever. Like
Hmm.
we're not cool with you. So the same thing with Lincoln Riley. Um, but if you didn't already love DeMarco Murray, there were rumors swirling around that when Lincoln Riley had his meeting with the team telling him that he was leaving, and this is after it all came out on ESPN, I guess. He came in, I guess, crying. And the rumor goes that DeMarco Murray was like, "Dry them tears, boy, you chose this," or something like that in front of the whole team, the whole staff. So DeMarco Murray, Sooner legend, if you didn't already love him, you should love him. I don't know if that's true or not. It might just be a rumor, but I hope it's true.
I've also heard stuff about DeMarco Murray, but we cannot discuss this on the podcast right now. But yeah, Sooner legend for sure, bro. Ryan Broyles, while we're at it, I just wanted to say that name. Miss that guy. Good God. Maybe he'll sell me a house one day. Um,
Yeah, maybe so.
but no, actually, you made the Kevin Durant statement and made me kind of chuckle because once basketball season's around, I've got some pretty curious questions that you might like. It may spark some interest from some fans. So we'll see where that takes us.
Yeah, okay, here I'll say this. We'll give a little teaser because I would like to get into some basketball stuff. Um, which you and me today were just we were talking about renaming this whole deal, and I don't
Hmm.
know if I gave you the idea of 4th and 1, like that goal line stand. If we stick to football, but if we start doing basketball, maybe that doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
we'll have a separate name for that whole deal, and we'll keep it all under the O'Grady Sports
Well,
Productions
well,
thing.
definitely. And then if of course we can let the fans get involved
Right.
if we do decide to change the name, which is going to be Colin's idea. But give us if you want some ideas, throw them out there.
Yeah, and
We'll
honestly, everyone that watches this knows us, so just text us. It's
yeah,
no
just
big
text.
deal. We're gonna respond.
Yeah.
But a little basketball teaser for you, and then we'll wrap this up. I'll let you wrap it up after I pose this question.
Okay.
How would you feel about the Thunder retiring the number 35 and
I
giving
think
Kevin Durant like a tribute night? Where after he's retired, it's been years after he's retired. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's the greatest USA Olympic basketball player of all time. He's, I think, the greatest scorer of all time. Not the greatest shooter or the greatest finisher, but the greatest scorer. Uh, the dude does not have hardly any gaps in his game, and I still love to watch him play. He's one of my favorite players to watch still. I just cannot. And some of his interviews are actually I don't mind him. I think he's I don't mind listening to him and all this stuff, but he left us so high and dry that I'll forever have that just hate in my heart for him. So how would you feel about OKC retiring number 35?
well, so I mean, I think we will, but I'll just straight get into it. I would like this. You may not agree with this. A lot of people don't when I say it, but I would like to see him come back. Just maybe for a year, maybe two, and perhaps it's because we're getting hot. We're about to absolutely take over the league. If you don't believe me, you're delusional. But it'd be really cool. We really don't have a veteran guy. We're all still young, aside from Shea. But Shay's Shay. Shay's on a different
Right.
level. But I think it'd be really cool to see him come back. And then once that happens, of course, I'd be okay with us retiring his number. But even if he doesn't, I think he had a crucial. He kind of helped Oklahoma City become who they are.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
so I can see that, and I can get behind it. I mean, obviously, I have you know mixed feelings about it because I wasn't too happy when he left either. But I mean, it all worked out. So I think we're in a better spot now. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, it'd be dope if he were to come back, maybe just for a year, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who we would have to give up, I don't think I'd be super opposed to it. But I think one thing about that whole deal is you've seen it happen, when he went to Brooklyn with James Harden and Kyrie, and then even with the Suns with, Devin Booker and those guys
Mhm.
out there. Like the chemistry plays such a huge role. I don't think, give
Oh
it enough
yeah.
credit for what it is because, you can't just win on talent alone. And I don't know. It's such a because it's like we bring in Gordon Hayward last year, and you know
He didn't
that
do
dude was not
nothing.
good in the locker room clearly, and he said some things afterward that made you just like, all right, frick this guy. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. And it depends on what we'd have to give up. It depends on how he would fit and flow. But I really like the spot that the Thunder. I'm so excited for Thunder
Yeah.
basketball.
It's
It
gonna
honestly
be.
it gets you through that winter seasonal depression when the sun goes down at 4:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
So
And when the Cowboys are losing every Sunday.
yeah,
So.
exactly.
But hey, shout out Jerry Jones for finally signing CD. My
Right.
God, took long enough, dog. But
Look,
also,
if you want to get paid, come to OU and play football.
yeah, absolutely.
Creed Humphreys just got paid. CeeDee Lamb just got paid. So
Yeah. So we'll definitely be switching it up as we proceed. But you got anything else, Colin, before we go ahead and wrap this one up?
no, I'm excited for Friday. Excited for us to hang out at the game.
Oh yeah.
Gonna be a lot of
Cannot wait.
fun.
We're definitely gonna have to film some of it. Maybe Colin will bring his camcorder if they let us bring it in.
Hey, I've been thinking about it. But if I don't bring it, we'll film on the phones. I might even put a little video together. So even
Do it.
just send me your stuff that we get from our phones. It'll be good.
All right. Well, if that is it, you got any last words, Colin?
No,
Before
I
winding
don't.
things
Just
off,
Boomer
man.
Sooner. What
Boomer
four?
Sooners for
As
life.
as we're recording this, we're like 4 days away. So couldn't be more
Football
excited.
season is football season is upon us.
This.
So yeah, well that's gonna wrap it up for episode 1 of season 2. I'm Will Joplin. This is
I'm Colin
Colin.
O'Grady. Your dog's going ham back there, dude.
He is, bro. He's ready to go to bed. But it's all peace and love. Love y'all. Everybody be safe.
Dear, how American nights.